beer brewing guide at the University of Applied Science of Austria. In this video you will learn how to brew a beer with some simple equipment. But this equipment is completely required and you need them for brewing a beer. And afterwards in the video we brew together a Kirsch. At first we have a mash container from the company Bielmeier, but this we use because we developed with this company this mash container. But you can use any one, every mild wine pot, just you need to have the power from 100 degrees just to cook the water afterwards. But in the next step we will explain it better. Secondly, we need a mill. We use this mill because we have 4 kilograms, we use 4 kilograms, but it's not required to use this. We also can use this hand mill, but to do it with 4 kilograms it will be so exhausting after time. So I would prefer this, but if you don't have the money, take just this one. So third, we have a scale on the other side, but you need one, but in every kitchen we have a mill, so we have a scale, so we can use this every time. And the temperature, and to check the temperature, we can use this simple thing or a digital one. I would always prefer this to my left, because this will break every third time if you use it. One of the last things we need is a lighter pot, and this is just for filtering afterwards. So this is really another one from the company Bielmeier. We helped to develop this, and this is the sieve, and there at the end is the filter cake, which is really disgusting, but you have to do it, so that's it. But with the filter cake you can make your own bread too, so it's really an advantage. And the last thing we have is the cooling coil. You need this one in the last steps of the brewing beer, and it's just for cooling down the beer and the water afterwards. So the next steps will be afterwards, and we'll see you later. The first step in brewing your own homemade beer is weighing and crushing the malt with a grist mill. But if you don't have a grist mill, you can also buy crushed malt everywhere in every shop available. By a water temperature of 52 degrees, the scrap malt is added to the water carefully and immediately stirred at the same time. Now we have the time or the common part of the work, because the malt water mixture has to be stirred continuously for 60 to 90 minutes. It depends more or less on which rest or how many rests you have. So what happens there is that the alpha amylase has more time to convert extrains into maltose, and the beer is fermented leaner and better if you do it like we in our Kirsch experiment with the combi rest by 67 degrees for 1 hour. So alpha and beta amylase works simultaneously during this rest. After the mash has been transferred to the lauter tune, the spent grains are left to stand for 10 to 20 minutes so that the grains can settle. After the lautering period, around 2 liters of first wort are drained off so that virtually no suspended matter is left. Then the first wort can be put back into the lauter tune. This process should be carried out until a clear liquid is formed. During the lautering, it is very important to take about 0.75 liters of wort for the second fermentation step. The wort is added afterwards before the bottles are filled. When you start to see the filter cake, it is important to ensure that the residual extract substances still contained in the spent grains are flushed out with topping up, and the sugar content of the wort is reduced by this dilution. Water must be preheated to 75 to 80 degrees for topping up. The amount of water depends on the amount of malt poured out. Before we can go to the so-called whirlpool, we have to disinfect our wooden spoon. After boiling the water with additionally hop for 60 to 90 minutes, the whirlpool is used to clarify the wort during beer preparation. In this process, the undissolved hop compounds, coagulated protein, are removed from the brewing malt,
and malt residues from the wort by a sedimentation process triggered by a rapid rotating movement of the liquid body. After the whirlpool has rested and nothing should move, the beer is transferred to the fermentation tank and cooled with the help of a cooling coil. After the temperature of the beer is around 30 degrees Celsius, the yeast can be added to this. With the help of the cooling coil, which we use to cool down the temperature of the beer, air is blown in while the yeast is added to ferment the sugar, which converts it into alcohol.
Welcome to our last part of our beer guide. It's the last step is to bottling the bottles with our beer, which was 1 week in our fermentation tank. Today we added 1 liter of spice, and so we can get a lot of sparkling for a perfect range of sparkling. Right now we have 3 bottles in 1 barrel here. You can fill it up with 0.3 bottle, half a liter with chrome caps, this here, or we have a skip fit. That's another good fit for the bottle. Or we have this barrel here, and if you want to close the bottles with the chrome cap, you have a chrome capper, which we will show you after.
At the end of the experiment, the beer has been main fermented after a week, is transferred to bottles for secondary fermentation, so that carbonic acid can develop. The beer is filled by holding the bottle oblique. It is important to be careful because if you pour in too quickly the beer can spill over. When the beer reaches your preferred mark, about 2 to 3 cm width from the bottle opening, so right here, the crown cap is pressed onto the bottle with the help of a crown cap closer. Storage should take place at cold temperatures at 4 to 6 degrees, and after 2, 6 and 8 weeks the beer can be tasted. So, cheers!